Vrabel said that they would evaluate for putting too much on your plate early in the season. Have you noticed any changes with that so far this week?
Oh, I mean, I think any team you're trying to establish the run. So from that point, I think you win games running the football and stopping the run. So trying to set that up. I feel like we got guys that we can throw to in space and make plays, and we can hurt teams in the past. So I don't think I don't feel like anything's changed, and I'm just trying to do my part and whatever they ask me to do.
There it is, the quarterback, Drake Maye, talking about what he needs to do and what this team needs to do as they head down to Miami to try and make it 1-1 at the start of the season. Foxborough Rush here with you, Annabelle Hasselbeck, Jade McCarthy. Lots to get to. We will take a look at this from the Miami side of things as well, and an opener that they would surely like to forget if they can, AB. And then from the Patriots' perspective, let's start there. Look, I mean, they're going to deal with the heat. They're going to deal with the humidity. They're going to deal with the bad history in Miami. I mean, that's all a reality for this Patriots team, but it's a young team, and it's a team that doesn't have to carry the weight of all of those things. It's also early going in the season, which can be beneficial going down to Miami because it's not exactly been cold here in New England. It's not like making the trek down there in late December. So there is that to put forth on the table. I think the biggest thing, though, is what we expect to see them do, both offensively and defensively on the field. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball, and I think it's very clear they need to run the football. I mean, AB, like if I could have 3 words for you, run the football. Are we in agreement on that part?
We've been in agreement since like June on that. I think everyone was in agreement since June, and I think that's what people were expecting to see in this week 1 game. You know what's funny is that there were a lot of teams around the league that didn't run the ball that you normally would think would be running the ball, and so it's going to be a huge focus for the Patriots this week. But even just getting off to a hot start, right, as an offense, it took some time for them to settle in, and I think also, you have that losing streak over their heads. It's kind of like a cloud. Patriots fans are hurt by it. But this is a brand new Patriots team. You have guys like Mac Hollins who are being asked about it. He's like, listen, number 1, I wasn't even here, and number 2, like that doesn't matter. And so I think there's a freshness to this Patriots team with the new regime that, yes, that is still a thing and it's real hurt. I don't think it's as much hurt as it is for the players and the coaches as it is for the Patriots fans in New England with Miami.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, there's sort of the fans that carry their perspective, and then there's the players who change from year to year, and of course some of them become stalwarts on teams and are here for a decade plus, but that is so often not the reality in the National Football League anymore. I mean, it's hard for guys to play for a decade, let alone play for one team for a decade. So that has become far and few between. We've certainly seen some of it in New England, just with the success that the Patriots had for so many years. But these players, they don't have to necessarily carry that weight. They do have to commit to that run game, though. Josh McDaniels was asked about that this week.
What did you learn about the 3 of them in this first game and how they can be a factor?
They need the ball more. That's the best way to say it.
He's right. They do need the ball more, right? I mean, we've seen these backs. We know they have the ability to be explosive, and yet they had 18 carries for a combined 60 yards in that game, against the Raiders last Sunday in the opener. And Drake Maye threw the ball 46 times. That is a lot to put on a young quarterback, to drop back and throw 46 passes. And look, some of it obviously is game situation. And when you are trying to make up ground and you're down, then you're going to be throwing the football. So I do agree with you wholeheartedly that going out there and making the most of a fresh start and getting off to a faster start is really significant to this team. Josh McDaniels also talked about what he thinks he's seen from Drake Maye, and he really kind of vouched for his starting quarterback. Here's more from McDaniels.
No. We haven't given him anything more than what we've given him all year, which is not too much. I think We have to understand it's his first game in our system. I think we all learned a lot from each experience we've had, every practice, Washington, joint practice, Minnesota, preseason games, the little that we were able to work together, obviously. And then, the first full game, that we have an opportunity to go through our operation and see things for the first time and use our rules and follow our rules. Thought he made a lot of good plays, thought he made a lot of good decisions. But I'm focused really on the process of him getting better every day, because I think the view of it is, it's got to be a long-term vision of where this guy's going to be. He's going to be a really good player, and we just, there's things that are going to happen in every game, for especially at that position, that aren't going to be perfect. It's really hard to play a perfect game at that spot.
Couple things stood out to me there, AB. One, that word perfect, right? We heard Mike Vrabel use it earlier in the week. They want Drake Maye to be precise. They don't want him to be perfect. And 100%, like, nobody is perfect in this league, in life for that matter. So, like, throw that word out the window. It's not something that anyone is expecting anybody on this team to be. I think the other thing that stands out to me there is just that, like, preaching patience, right? Like, Drake is a young quarterback. This might be his second season. It's his first season as the starter, here in New England after starting in week 6 last season. And he is in a new system. So we've been talking about this since August. There is a need for patience here. It's a developmental position. You can't expect it to happen overnight.
No, and I think that is what is so great about what you can see for the future with the Patriots, because you don't have a situation where you're throwing the young quarterback into the fire and saying, and you have to get it done immediately right now, right? They have invested in this team. It is a young team. There's a huge youth movement, and it's not just Drake. It's your left side of your O-line, right? Like, there's a lot of different parts of this team that they have just said, hey, you know what? We're going to play the long game with it. We're not going to go out and get Micah Parsons. We're not going to, pull crazy strings to get Terry McLaurin. We're going to invest in the youth and in the hopeful draft picks, too, that we have coming in the future. And I think just looking at that progress, you're hoping for Drake Maye. What McDaniels is saying here is, hey, we want to see day-to-day progress, right? But we also just care about that global view.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think this is a long run mentality, which I will give the Patriots credit for, because we have seen so many teams not take that approach, and it usually backfires. I mean, there's a reason that there seems to be a quarterback reclamation story across the National Football League every year. I mean, there is, and it's in part because of what players are thrown into. It's in part because it's a developmental league, and what does a team have established to develop that quarterback once they draft that quarterback. And it's in part okay, hurry up and throw him in because I don't know if my job is safe, right? I mean, there's a lot of different elements that factor in it. But I think, you look to this weekend and what you expect from Drake Maye. They're taking on a Miami defense that could not get off the field against the Colts last week. I mean, like, that is important to note here. This Miami defense allowed the Colts in 7 possessions to score 7 times. They couldn't stop anything, right? I mean, Daniel Jones, a reclamation project, as I just mentioned, right? 22 of 29, 262 yards, and then they let up, in 40 carries, they let up over 150 rushing yards. So again, I'm going to go back to where I started. They got to run the football because that will open up the passing game for them. And we've seen that Miami will let up rush yards.
And it's going to make it easier for Drake Maye. You mentioned, I think it was 46 times he threw the ball. It was like the most around the league. Like, and we're looking at, and what did we just talk about with our quarterback situation? Like, we are trying to, bring him up. We're trying to allow him to progress. We're not trying to throw anything. Like, whoa, right? So I think that's not only going to help Drake Maye, it's going to help the offensive line. It's going to help you do better against the Dolphins defense because they're going to have to expect the run game, right? I do think to Josh McDaniels, saying, what do we need to do? We need to get the ball in the running back's hands more. Like, yes, he definitely believes that. Some of it, too, is knowing the opponent and saying, okay, now they know that we're going to run the ball. So I wouldn't be shocked if we still see a high importance on the passing game. You still have Steph Diggs, who you're trying to get the ball to, who they started to ramp it up later in that game. But definitely seems like the emphasis has been the run game. You're hearing it from coaches. You're hearing it from players. And also that, desire to run the ball. They know that they're good at it.
Yeah. They know that they have some playmakers. Travion Henderson certainly is one. Like, if he can break, he has such speed that, he could just find himself with a touchdown, as we saw in the preseason.
Hey,
so you do want to
engaged too. So he's feeling the energy. Right? He's got good vibes around him. Congrats, Travion.
He could have a very memorable week, right? I mean, if you look at that, if he scores his first regular season NFL touchdown, and yes, congrats to Travion and the future misses. Always exciting to see that. Look, I also think that you mentioned it before, but that offensive line, and what are they going to be, right? How are they going to come out in this game? And we heard so much right from Mike Vrabel being hired in New England. We got to win the game in the trenches. That's where we're going to build this team. And we've liked Will Campbell and his approach and his attitude and his desire to learn and grow and progress throughout the course of training camp and into the regular season. He was sort of asked about that heat and humidity that South Florida always brings. A little bit of a chuckle. Here's Will Campbell.
To play in some weather you're used to for a change.
Yeah, that'd be nice. It'd be nice to get out cold.
What is the secret for all these Northerners about to go down there dealing with the Miami Heat?
No secret. Just you're either used to it or you aren't.
Hey, when you spend your college days at LSU, you got to be ready for that heat and humidity. No doubt about that, AB. But look, I mean, go ahead.
No, he wants to take advantage of it. He's like, yeah, I got it. You probably don't.
So true, right? I mean, get ready. You gotta carry all that gear when you're the camera guy down there this weekend as well. But look, I mean, tongue in cheek in saying that, but I think that, as I said before, this is September. We're not talking about December, and having to heat up the bubble and try to, replicate that humidity and things of that nature. So I do think that that's a little bit of a benefit on the schedule side of things. The other thing that, we obviously have to mention, of course, on the other side of the ball is that the Patriots have been without their defensive coordinator this week as he, continues to be in everybody's thoughts and prayers, AB. He's dealing with an unforeseen situation that, the Patriots really haven't elaborated on at this point. They have talked about the fact that this is a collective unit. And Mike Vrabel is addressing this again, when he speaks shortly. But how they're going to handle this situation on game day. But at least at this point in time, their inside linebacker coach, Zach Cort, talked a little bit about that collaborative approach that this defensive coaching staff always has.
If there comes a time that you do need to step up, how prepared do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, that's everybody on staff, I think. I think everybody comes into work every day that if anybody ever needs extra help, we're all ready to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, me specifically being ready for that. I think everybody on the staff, Raves does a good job of hiring good people.
And that's something that, the Patriots defensive coaches talked about, this goes back to our time in Tennessee, with Vrabel, right? This is something that's always been a collaborative approach. And I think they just anticipate that it'll continue to be that way moving forward. And obviously the hope for everybody in that building is that Terrell Williams, is back with them sooner rather than later.
Definitely. You hope the best for Terrell Williams. And I've definitely appreciated how private the team has been about it. And, media's intense sometimes. They can come at you with questions that can kind of trip you up. And the Patriots have done an incredible job of just respecting him. And we're praying and hoping for the best for him in this situation. But I think what is also encouraging about the situation, we talked about it earlier this week, Vrabel is a defensive guy. This is his defense. He also used free agency and not as much in the draft. He spent most of his top draft picks on offense. Now he went in free agency to get veterans that he knows and can rely on defense. So I think you can take confidence in knowing that that's where Vrabel said, hey, you know what? I'm going to lean on the fact that I can coach these guys up instead of bringing in a youth movement on defense.
Yeah, Landry is questionable, so that's one that we'll continue to keep tabs on. And obviously, this is a quarterback that has had a lot of success historically against the Patriots. They have not been able to win a game against Tua Tagovailoa. Obviously, they hope that changes and he goes to 7-1 and not 8-0 against them come late Sunday afternoon. And I think the reality is they got to start this game at a better rate than they did, and then they got to finish the game, right? I mean, we heard Vrabel harp on this, effort and finish. It felt like a broken record, dating back to minicamp. And then we heard it again last week going into week 1. Like, we've got to win the second half. And they really did the exact opposite. So I'm very curious to see, 1, the start of this game, and then 2, how this team finishes and comes out in the second half.
One of the first things Vrabel said when he came to New England and had his introductory press conference was, we need to take advantage of bad football. And what did we see from the Dolphins last week? Bad football. And I think it's an amazing opportunity here for the Patriots to go up against a team that now every single person who cares about football has their eyes on. The Dolphins were lucky that it was a 1 p.m. game. Like, it wasn't like prime time. There were a lot of other things going on. So now a lot of eyes are on this game. And if the Patriots are able to just take advantage of a team that maybe wasn't able to fully spend all their time and energy on, okay, how do we capitalize our mistakes? Because they're worrying about, like, hey, what the heck just happened, right? Like, that's their main focus. I think it's a great opportunity for the New England Patriots to take advantage of just bad football.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see how the Dolphins come out this week, and if the Patriots can jump out and get an upper hand, because you do get this sense that if they're able to do that, things could start to unravel pretty quickly for Miami. What have they been doing on their side to try to follow up the bad football with a better performance? We will hear from the Dolphins on the other side here on Foxborough Rush. Plus, still ahead, we'll make some picks for the upcoming games this week. Stick around, much more straight ahead. Welcome back into Foxborough Rush. Some updates coming out of Mike Vrabel's press conference in Foxborough. We were just talking about what was going to be the situation with the defense this week. It will, in fact, be inside linebackers coach Zach Core who will call the game defensively for the Patriots. Vrabel announcing that. He also said he's hopeful to have an update on Terrell Williams next week. And then, quote, we'll go from there. As we said, thoughts and prayers continue to be with him and his family during this time. A couple other things worth noting, Christian Gonzalez, July 28th feels like a long time ago, AB, but he is still going to be out dealing with this hamstring injury, and defensive end Keon White will also be out. He's been sick this week. And then on the other side of the ball, offensive tackle Morgan Moses is questionable with the foot injury. So, some things worth noting as we see what they exactly have in store for them and who's going to be able to make plays against this Dolphins team that quite honestly is reeling after the way they showed up, or maybe didn't show up, against the Indianapolis Colts last Sunday. So much so that, this is week 1. They just finished week 1, AB, and they already felt compelled to call a players-only team meeting. This is something you usually hear like after Thanksgiving if things get a little rough. But this is where the Dolphins are this week. And Jordan Brooks, their linebacker, a leader on that team, talked about why that was something that they had to do.
Obviously, as one of the leaders, you guys had a players-only meeting early after the Week 1 loss. What do you think was accomplished in that meeting, or what was the message that you wanted to get across to the players?
Just stay locked in. Losing the way we did Week 1, it can be discouraging. Outside noise, people talking, fans talking, family talking, whoever, everybody talking. But just kind of making sure that everybody's like together. When you lose like that, it's easy for people to get discouraged and, start looking and questioning maybe yourself or others. So making sure that we all lock back in and making sure that the belief is still there. If you lose belief, you don't have nothing. And so making sure that everybody's still on the same page and come back next week stronger.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, if you don't believe, then you don't have anything. That's the truth of the matter. And that's, why I said if the Patriots can get off to a fast start, things could unravel quickly for the Dolphins if they're not able to respond out there. Because clearly there was a lot of sort of scuttle about this team, in the offseason leading into the season, AB. And then you have the showing that they did in Indianapolis. You can see that they're trying to pull something together. The question is how strong is that belief and how widespread is it throughout the team?
Jade, if I'm hosting a team meeting Week 1, nobody's gonna know about it. Okay, like the media is not finding out. All right, I'm like that would be a priority for me. I'd be like, just the players are gonna find. We're gonna do this at 2 a.m. if we have to. But I think the things that stick out to me is you really only host and hold a players meeting if one, you just kind of want to show your coaches that you're going above and beyond the norm and that you're taking action to solve problems within your team, or you actually really don't want the coaches to hear what you got to say and you don't want them to be a part of it and you don't want them to be a part of them coming together. So for me, it raises a lot of questions just about the why and the how it what went down. I think it is concerning. You saw a really beat down Mike McDaniel after the game. He was saying, I prepared my best and clearly it wasn't good enough. And yeah, the vibe in Miami is not good.
Yeah, no, it's not. And I don't think anyone would really stand there and, stake their claim on the fact that the Dolphins look like a team that's going to come out and just react entirely differently than they did in the opener. I just find that hard to fathom with where they are and everything that is sort of coming out of that locker room. To your point, if you have this players only meeting, why is it being talked about? Wasn't the importance of the meeting what happened in the meeting itself and then not going out and talking about the fact that you had the meeting? Look, and I will give Jordan Brooks this, he's right, because everybody starts to look at you when you have a game like that. And members of the media among them, including a guy who knows the division rather well, and Rex Ryan.
Talking there, what were you reacting?
Yeah, what the hell is he talking about? Maybe he's on a different level, McGenius guy, whatever the hell he is, nerd boy. But anyway, their team has no respect for the coach. They play like that. They're like, come on, man, get us a dang guy in here. Where's the physicality of this team? What did you say?
They're soft.
Is he interviewing for a job again? I mean, we have seen Rex interviews for some jobs of late. Clearly, he does not believe that Mike McDaniel is the answer there in Miami for the Dolphins, at least not right now. I think the other moment that stood out to me this week, AB, was when former Dolphin Xavier Howard talked about their approach defensively, as he's now with the Colts going up against Tua. Take a listen to this one.
Most definitely. We knew the guy, he get the ball out pretty quick. And once we take away his first read, I feel like it's panic mode after that. And it showed yesterday, man. We took away his first read, and he was trying to get rid of the ball real quick.
Panic mode's not a description you often hear used against a former teammate. Tua did respond and say, no, I don't think that's the case. And I think that I've demonstrated that throughout, some games during my career. But the reality is it just feels like there is a lot sort of piling on where this Dolphins team is, AB.
Yeah, even just you saying that and like Tua having to respond, I'm like, man, think about all the things you have to worry about as a starting quarterback in the NFL. And not only like you for your one job, your role, we're over here talking about like, does Drake Maye, have too much on his plate? We got to simplify him, like let him do his job. That's why you go get a veteran center. You get Steph Diggs to help, the wide receiver room. You have Ramondre Stevenson as your running back one. Like you have people to help your quarterback just do his job. And here Tua, your starting quarterback, you got to do just your job. But now you got this drama in the locker room. You got drama outside of the locker room. Like there's a lot going on with this Dolphins team. And, I think what's funny, kind of going back to what Rex Ryan said, is you can really tell the different coaching styles that there are in the NFL. And clearly Rex Ryan likes the way more Vrabel type coaching, that hard nose, fight in the trenches football rather than this like kind of flashy offense, cool cat kind of thing going on. I won't repeat what he did say, but it brings up the question of like, what is going to be the identity of this Miami Dolphins team?
Yeah. And look, I mean, if there's one thing that we've seen with successful coaches, in the NFL and really beyond, because it's just a tenet of leadership, is if it's not authentic, and if your team doesn't buy into who you are as a leader and then how you act to back up what you say, you're doomed. I mean, that's just the reality. I mean, leadership has to be authentic. And I'm not saying whether Mike McDaniel is or isn't, but I do think that there seems to be somewhat of a split in terms of where this Dolphins team is, and either where he thought they were, there seems to be some gray area there, and there can't be. Because that's just a recipe for disaster, which is exactly what we saw last Sunday.
Yeah, there's clearly a disconnect too, right? And Tyreek Hill, he's the guy, when you think of the Dolphins, you think of Tua and Tyreek, right? You think of Tua in a fast wide receiver room. And really, you haven't seen too much of that. I think there was a stat that kind of went a little viral earlier today, and I lost it now. I think it was like a year on the calendar since Hill has had a catch over 30 yards or something crazy like that. And, he's a guy who this team has to be able to rely on, not only on the field, but also people are going to look to him. How is he responding? Because you bring energy from your best players.
Yeah. Well, and you can be a leader on the team, but the reality is that the leaders who really carry weight are ones who are also leading by their play. So if you're not having a significant impact with your play on the field, then all of a sudden, like the ability for you to lead starts to drop back a little bit. And the explosive plays, for the Dolphins last week, they were all happening against them. I mean, it was the Colts with like one explosive play after another down the field. And like the parts of that game that I saw, I was like, are you kidding me? I was shocked, AB. It just, they didn't show up. I mean, it's that simple. So I am so curious to see how this Dolphins team is going to come out there. But I'll go back to the same tenets that I said before, right? Like, you got to run the ball. If you're New England, you got to get off to a faster start. You got to find ways to stymie Tua and get to him. And then you have to finish. Right? You have to play a complete 60 minutes of football. And I think if the Patriots can do those things, that they will, say whatever the history wants to say and walk out of there with a win come Sunday afternoon.
Well, that's exciting, too, because one of the Patriots' strength right now is their defense and is their pass rush. And you're going up against a really banged up Miami Dolphins offensive line, right? Like, kind of both sides of the offenses have a little bit of a banged up right side. But I think that's what's exciting, is that the Patriots can generate energy and momentum from causing pressure to Tua. And clearly, he had probably, I think, the most turnovers out of any quarterback in the NFL week 1, right? Like, this is the time. Hit them when they're down.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, and that's part of the NFL, right? Like, it is. Sometimes you get lucky with when you get a team on your schedule, and sometimes you don't. I mean, that's just part of it. And so if I'm New England, I got to play this team twice a year, every year. Yeah, like, give me now when they're reeling a little bit to take advantage.
Like, are you talking about luck over here? Like, man, New England, when I saw who was next up for the Patriots after that Miami game, I mean, I just kind of was in the shock. I'm like, really? We get to play them next? The Patriots have the, like, I mean, really is what you're saying. It's if you're going to play them at any time for, you got to play them twice. Let's go right now. Week 2.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 interceptions and a lost fumble for Tua in the opener. And the one other thing I would note out of Miami, of course, is that they picked up Cole Strange, who the Patriots had released. He was on the Browns practice squad, but like you said, Miami's line is banged up, so they picked him up. He of course was asked about what he's sharing about the Patriots, and he said everything I can, getting rid of all their secrets. And then he did add, I don't think it's a major edge. For his part, McDaniels said that he was signed for his blocking and not for his intel. But I did laugh a little bit when I read that. I'm giving up all their secrets.
Hey, he's definitely signed for some of his intel too. Like, that's a plus. That comes with the talented player, okay? Like, we'll take that too.
They'll take anything that they can get. Any edge that you can get in this league is one that's going to be explored and found. All right, we'll go around the league, do some pick'em as we continue here. We'll also check in with you. What do you have to say right here on Foxborough Rush? Stick around. Back with you on Foxborough Rush, and we said we'd have some pick'ems for you. So we'll start with that Patriots one. Where are you leaning as they head down to Miami to take on the Dolphins, AB?
Jade, hit them while they're down. Let's go. You couldn't ask for a better matchup against the Dolphins in week 2 right now. I'm going to go with the Patriots. The Dolphins are also banged up. Waddle has a shoulder. You have a right tackle that's out. Their best cornerback is out, Storm Duck. So I'm going to go with the Patriots for this one. Down to Miami, break the curse, get it done.
Yeah, me too. Quick note, this coming from Mike Reese. If Morgan Moses is unable to play at right tackle on Sunday, it'll be the rookie Marcus Bryant, 7th round pick out of Missouri, who will get the start in that one. So just in case, as the Patriots are dealing with some injuries of their own. But I'm with you. I'm taking New England in this game. I think Drake Maye is going to have an improved game, from the way he started the season. I think that he's got one game in this system under his belt. I expect the Patriots to figure out a smoother and faster way to start this game. I expect them to establish a run game early and find a way to stick with it. I also expect them to build Steph Diggs' involvement in this game, and I think that we'll continue to see that over the next couple weeks here. But I will take I will take New England over a Miami Dolphins team that is reeling for all intent and purposes. All right, another matchup in the division, of course, this week as the Bills take on the Jets. The Bills, obviously, with that epic comeback against Lamar and the Baltimore Ravens the other night. And then, heartbreak for the Jets, who had the chance to win the game against their former quarterback and Aaron Rodgers. And instead, it is the Steelers that walked away with a week 1 win. But look, the Jets put up 32 points in that game. It has been Buffalo, of course, that has been dominant in this division, 5 straight division titles, 24-6 against the AFC East since 2020. And the Jets have 6 wins in that time span. 6 to the 24 that the Bills have. I don't know. What do you think about this one?
Well, if you're a Pats fan, you're like, okay, Jets, like, can you take one away from the Bills for us? Like, can we do it? Yeah. But I gotta go with the Bills. These were they both played two of the best games in week 1, and the Bills were able to get it done and finish it off. They're a Super Bowl contending team, and the Jets probably aren't. And so I think just with the star power that Josh Allen has, he hit 10 different guys for catches in week 1. Both teams had defensive problems. That is a real thing. So it's going to be up to these offenses. So I'm going to take the Bills offense over the Jets.
Yeah, I think you're going to make the smart pick here. I'll be different to be different sake. If I were to take the Bills, it would be strictly based on this. I think Josh Allen is playing like Superman, and I think he has the ability to carry his team really against any team right now and find a way to notch a win. That said, I'll give the Jets the nod in this one because of their run game. We saw how successful they were with Breece Hall running the ball, against the Steelers a week ago. The Bills are banged up defensively. They gave up 238 yards on the ground, 3 rushing touchdowns, to Baltimore. Ed Oliver's going to be out for this game, so I'm going to say that the Jets can find a way to stuff it down their throat enough that they can find a way to win this one at home. Got to be contrarian sometimes, right?
We were too similar on that one show a couple weeks ago, Jade. So, we really got to make sure people know that we don't talk about this before the show.
Right? We're not comparing notes in advance here. Okay. Another divisional battle in the NFC North. The Bears and the Lions both open up with a loss. So, both of these teams trying to avoid starting in that 0-2 hole. Of course, Dan Campbell and his team have very high expectations. We all know that. And they did not look good against Green Bay. Neither did Washington last night, for that matter, as they only rack up 99 yards of offense in a game that I don't know about you, AB, but real quick, as I kind of go on a tangent here, that game, sitting there watching it, I was like, how is it this close? How were they within one score? Because it felt like Green Bay just dominated it from start to finish, but the score didn't show that for so long.
No, Green Bay is a team to be feared, for sure. And just listening to Micah Parsons talk after the game, I won't say exactly what he said, but that dude is not happy about how everything went down with him this offseason. And all he wants to do is help this Packers team get to the Super Bowl. And that's what that team, their charisma around them, the energy, the fight, that's what it really looked like.
Yeah, no, 100%. They are to be feared. They are not going to be an easy out for anyone this year. And we saw that against the Lions as well. Of course, this is a homecoming of sorts for Ben Johnson, who was the OC for that Lions team for so long, now trying to, make his way with Caleb Williams as his quarterback there in Chicago. Who do you like in this NFC North matchup?
Yeah, I got to go with the Lions. I think this will be a great bounce back game for them after their loss to the Packers. You're going to have Aiden Hutchinson coming after Caleb Williams. That guy is a fighter, to say the least. And the Lions are one of the best teams in football last year. I think they get their offense going. I think they established the run with Gibbs and Montgomery. And the Bears, they still have growing pains. It was very evident that why they weren't able to finish that game against the Vikings. So I got to go with the Lions for this one.
Yeah, I cannot be the contrarian voice in this one. I just can't do it. I know, Ben Johnson would probably like more than anything, you go back home, you see how you've changed. You'd like nothing more than to walk out with a win with your new team. But I just don't see it. I think Aiden Hutchinson is a force in this game. I think Dan Campbell has his team ready to go in this one against the Bears. And I think that the Lions, with everything that they're hoping to play for this year, that they will find a way to start, 500 and not in that 0-2 hole. All right, the 49ers will be in New Orleans taking on the Saints, and it'll be Mac Jones leading the way, the former Patriots quarterback who, look, I mean, Kyle Shanahan was always clear. He loved Mac Jones and he wanted to have him there. Well, now he's got him and he's going to have him for a while because Brock Purdy is out for several weeks, 2 to 5 weeks are the reports when it comes to Brock Purdy dealing with a couple injuries, but it's the toe injury that seems to be the most significant one. Of course, there's also the notion of the injury bug overall in San Francisco because George Kittle's on the IR. Juwan Jennings hasn't been practicing this week. So Mac's going to have his work cut out for him with a depleted offense out there in San Francisco, taking on a young Saints team. Who do you like here?
I saw someone, a Seahawks fan, say earlier this week that the Seahawks loss to the 49ers ended the 49ers season because of all the injuries they handed them in week 1. And I was like, well, that's kind of true, right? And I don't see myself taking the Saints many times this season. So this is going to be the game. I'm taking the Saints because the injuries to the 49ers, Purdy is out, Kittle's out, Jennings is banged up. McCaffrey's back, but there was some whoa, what's going on with him, even before week 1. So I think the Saints could be a surprise at home in the Superdome. And, a huge problem for them last week was the penalties. That's controllable. So I think when you look at, hey, who's leading these teams, I think Mac Jones will definitely have the opportunity to have a Sam Darnold-like resurgence to his career. But his first week starting for this team, I'm going to go with the Saints.
I'll take the 49ers in this one. I just think that they'll have enough to get this done. I think that, expect a strong dose of CMC in this one. He was able to contribute last week. I think he'll do the same. And, Shanahan's 49ers average nearly 23 points per game with a quarterback that is not their starting quarterback in week 1. And I think if they can do that against the Saints, then they'll find a way to hand them their second loss of the season. All right, last but not least, the Los Angeles Rams head to take on the Titans, 2 number 1 overall picks at quarterback, of course, in this one, opposite ends of their career, perhaps, in Matthew Stafford and then Cam Ward for the Titans. Who do you like here?
I'm going to go with the Rams because the Rams were that team that I was saying, the weeks leading up to the season starting. Oh, I don't know how Stafford's going to look. He's got the back thing. But he looked great, okay? Their offense looked awesome. He was throwing, no-look passes. Matt Stafford is okay. And that Rams defense is really good. And you saw what the Broncos defense did to Tennessee. And Cam Ward sacked him 6 times. He was hit 12 times. So I think that's a problem for me. Cam Ward looked great. He had some highlight plays, but can the team around him get it done? I don't know. I just don't think the Titans are there yet. So I'm going to go with the Rams for this one.
Yeah, won and lost in the trenches, right? How much can we say it? How much can we stress it? There's so much importance to it. I like the Rams in this one as well. I don't know if you saw that moment in their game last week where Puka had to come off and he had to go into the tent and he had blood dripping down his face. And then, he got checked out. Everything was fine. And then he went and finished with yet another 100+ yard game. I mean, one of the toughest players in the league. Give me Aiden Hutchinson, give me Puka Nacua. Come on.
Yeah.
But I think that, the Rams are going to go out there against the Titans, and I expect them to find a way to win this game as well. All right, those are a few of our picks this week. Let us know some of yours as well. We always like hearing from you. We'll do just that on the other side right here on Foxborough Rush. Foxborough Rush coming back at you, and as we promised, we want to hear from you, so we're going to pop open the mailbag and see what you got. Are you going optimism or pessimism here, AB? What do you think?
I'm going optimism, but we'll see what you guys said. Sometimes you guys have some crazy takes. I'm over here do I even want to answer this? I'm kind of offended, and it's not even about me. So yeah, you guys bring the heat sometimes. So yeah, we'll see what you said this week.
Yeah, let's dig into the mailbag and see what we got here. This one coming from Andrew Dawson, 1479. Christian Gonzalez, a hamstring injury does not take 6 weeks to heal. He should already be back. I don't understand what's going on. Okay, well, we have talked about these hamstring injuries before, AB. And look, I said it earlier, July 28th was a long time ago. But that said, soft tissue injuries linger. They're nagging injuries. Sometimes you think you're about to be back, and then all of a sudden it tweaks again. You don't want to come back too soon and then, pull up short again and have another issue. So I've said it all along. I think we just have to be patient on this one.
Yeah, and we don't know how bad it was initially, right? We also don't know if along the way there was a setback, right? That's all information that we're not privy to. And I do think that the Patriots could have been looking at the Raiders wide receiver room and saying, hey, you know what? Like, rest week 1, we got the Dolphins and Hill and Waddle coming up week 2. But he didn't practice on Thursday. And so I think that's what's concerning. Although I will say, from like a little investigation, just surfing the web, Gonzo put up an Instagram story of himself playing football with song that's like "Get Back" or whatever it was. Like, I don't know. Was it a subliminal message? Are we trying to do something here? I think it's always fun to actually analyze when the player does something like that. But yeah, right now it doesn't look good for his comeback for this weekend.
Yeah, no, he's going to be out in this one. We'll see, what it looks like heading into week 3 and if he's able to get out there and practice. All right, this one coming from Peter Marshall, 6577, talking about Drake Maye. Immature, the 23-year-old has a lot to learn. I would not call him immature. That's my opinion, having sat and listened to him and the way he's approached things. Yes, he has a lot to learn. I think anyone who comes into this league in any position, certainly the quarterback position, has a lot to learn. And I think we hear the coaches talk about it every day. I think we hear Drake Maye talk about it every day. Like, it's just stacking small wins day after day after day that help you make gains. And try not to slide backwards. Try not to have it be one step forward, 2 steps backwards. Just try to make them small steps forward to build those foundational blocks.
Jade, I'm 23 and I've got a lot to learn too. Okay. I can make you a list of things that I have to learn, but I'm not trying to be the subject of next week's mailbag. So none of you are going to get to hear what I have to learn. Josh McDaniels said that it's going to be a progression for Drake Maye. And I think out of all the players that I've watched come into a new regime, it has been unbelievably impressive how mature Drake Maye has been, facing the circumstances that he faced last year with the spotlight on him in the way and the brutal offense execution that they had last year, into coming into this year now as the starter and getting the opportunity to capitalize on week 2.
Yeah. I think we all have a lot to learn. I don't think it actually has much at all to do with
then we can compare lists, Jade. We'll compare our lists together.
Off camera. We're not going to share any of that with all of you. All right, let's get back to the mailbag here. This is Anthony Hernandez, 2111, has some criticism for Josh McDaniels. Dink and dunk, McDaniels is back, plus some bad offensive line play, plus Maye's uncomfortable, equals an atrocious offense. I don't think so. I mean, look, this was not Drake Maye's best game. Far from it in the opener. The offensive line obviously made some mistakes. They didn't establish the run. I think overall the offense did not have a strong showing against the Raiders. I also think we have to be patient. Like, this is a young team. This is a team in the first year of Josh McDaniels' system. You just can't expect them to go out there and execute, at even like close to perfect in week 1. They're just not there yet.
Yeah, and I will say, like, the dink and dunk offense, like the short passes, it's not that fun to watch maybe, but you're protecting your quarterback and you're helping your O-line, right? And so I think when you look at historically what Josh McDaniels has done, that works, right? When it's done well and everyone does their job. And so, yeah, it might not be the most fun thing to watch right now, but you got to start simple with this young offense.
Yeah. I watched Andy Reid dink and dunk his way down the field as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles for a real long time with Brian Westbrook. And it worked pretty well. And last I checked, he's got some Super Bowl titles to his name in Kansas City. All right, last one here. This is Stephen Black, 3647. The reality of the situation is the Patriots failure in the 22 and 24 drafts, major lack of depth on this team. This is going to take 2 more years, quite a few major needs. He lists them all there. We've been talking about this. Like, depth is an issue on this team. Mike Vrabel has come out and said, we're trying to find ways with what we have. And we've seen him make a lot of changes as well. So I don't think that there's any question that this team is one that's lacking depth and is going to have to find ways to make up for it and play with what they got right now.
Yeah, and there are some organizations that aren't willing to part ways with guys who they drafted high, right? Like, I think that is something to say, hey, you know what? It might not be a great situation, but look at what the Patriots were willing to do and who they were willing to part from amidst what the public might say or what might seem crazy in some sense of like how business typically goes and saving face. But I do think when you look at just the position groups that he listed out, like wide receiver 1, you went out and got Steph Diggs. He's a veteran wide receiver. He's the blue chip guy in that room. Like, that's what you did. And then you also brought in Bradbury, a guy who's a veteran center, to help out Drake Maye. So I think there are areas where it might not seem like there's crazy depth because you've had them in your draft process for a long time, but they did go out and get some key veteran players in order to hopefully bring depth to that room.
Yeah, and I think I would also say, to piggyback off of your point, I've had a former league executive tell me that the biggest mistake that so many organizations make is that they stay with their mistake for so long instead of being willing to put up their hand and basically say, yeah, we're going to admit that we didn't do this well, cut ties, because that's what you're doing when you let somebody go, and find a way to move forward as opposed to letting it hang over their heads because they're too unwilling to admit that mistake. So I, wholeheartedly agree with you there, AB. All right, we'll do this again next week. It's off to Miami for the Patriots. We'll see if we both come out on top as we both pick them to find a way to win and move to 500. That's it for Foxborough Rush. Enjoy the football this weekend.